Today I want to talk about a post that Ryan Day made that asked a very simple question for which we have so many answers and none of them are satisfying. And all that's coming up after the bumper.
Don't be cornering me. Hold up. Time. You gotta help me with that corner
What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. Consider hitting the like and subscribe button because I upload a video every single day. It's always college football related, sports related. We have a good time. Today, I want to talk about a post Ryan Day put out on Twitter earlier this afternoon. That'd be Thursday, September 10th, when you are viewing this, I hope. But I want to start with this. Skip Bayless is under fire on Twitter because of his take on Dak Prescott, talking about the passing of his brother and how he is feeling emotions he's never felt before, among them depression. Bayless and Shannon Sharp do a show called Undisputed, which is one of the best sports talk shows on television. I know this because y'all can't stop talking about it. It's the same reason we talk about First Take. It's a good show. They are talking about topics that the masses want to talk about. Sometimes they're smart about it. Sometimes they're funny about it. Sometimes they miss the mark, but they have done this for a very long time. And both of those shows are highly successful at what they do. When you bring a topic like this to that show, though, you can't afford to miss. In the same way that you can't afford to miss topics of race and gender. You can't afford to miss topics that really get at the heart of political debate, which is about personal debate and about what your personal proclivities are. And whatever your opinion is, if it is well thought out and it is sound, most people will back you for it because that's your opinion, especially on a show where that's their job, to give you their opinion on things that happen in and around sports. And the Dallas Cowboys are America's team. They're the most popular team in the NFL and one of the most bankable franchises in history. I mean, Dallas Cowboys have a valuation on par with Barcelona and Real Madrid, and Barcelona has the best player, the best athlete in the world, the most profitable athlete in the world, in Leo Messi. So when I heard Skip Bayless say that he did not agree with Dak Prescott talking about this openly, I was intrigued. And then I heard his reasoning, which was that he thought it undercut Dak as a leader in that locker room and on that football team because he is the quarterback. It somehow makes him look soft to talk about depression. The day ones on this channel know that I am diagnosed manic depressive, and I had a really difficult time in 2018, particularly with depression. And I talked about it from time to time on the show, and this show helps me. It helps me cope. Talking about this thing that I like, college football, the NBA, EPL, Major League Baseball, the NFL, all of these things help me cope with a great deal of grief and a great deal of intense pain and sadness. And I'm thinking about what it would have been like for me to hear that Mike Vick suffered depression as a kid, to hear so many athletes that I loved in the 90s and the early 2000s who might have been depressed tell me, or tell us that they were. Kevin Love meant the world to me, and coming out and talking about his mental health. I mean, we make jokes about Paul George, but because the man turned off the comments on his Instagram post because he was in a depressed state. He had a terrible game. He did not try to go out and play a terrible game of basketball. And remembering that he's inside that bubble, that he is cut off from the rest of the world at a time when there's great social unrest and a time when black men in particular feel hunted, I thought about him in that way because I start from the place of everybody gets the same opportunity to show their behind at least once. And I believe that most people are doing their best. It's when people take advantage of that generosity that we have a problem. It's when people wrongly categorize a conversation that is tremendously helpful at a time when depression is a very big part of being an American. It's a very big part of living today in this pandemic where so many folks don't have jobs, people are facing eviction, and we have no idea what life will look like even 3 months from now, let alone 6 months from now, or even post-virus. I like that Dak Prescott had something to say about how he felt, and I am sad that Skip Bayless, I'm intensely sorry that Skip Bayless didn't feel that he could have anything worthwhile to add here except that this is going to be a bad look in front of your teammates. And why should it be? I think the more we talk about this, the better human beings we're going to be. And I wish more people would say this is okay and give you resources to help. Because I think that many people have issues, have a problem talking about how they feel, especially in public and especially today where we're all too likely to dunk on you or to make a joke out of your pain. Skip missed, and I hope that he will learn how to hit that target better in the future. Okay, so now I want to give you Ryan Day's statement that he released on the Twitters, and it goes like this. While I understand the Big Ten Conference's decision to postpone the football season because of the health and safety considerations, the communication of information from the Big Ten following the decision has been disappointing and often unclear. However, we still have an opportunity to give our young men what they have worked so hard for, a chance to safely compete for a national championship this fall. I couldn't possibly be prouder of how this team, our medical personnel, athletic director, and president have stayed together and managed through this extremely difficult time with so many unanswered questions. The Big Ten Medical Subcommittee has done an excellent job of creating a safe pathway toward returning to play in mid-October. These young men and their parents have asked so many questions that I do not have an answer to, but the one that hurts the most is why can these other teams and players play and we can't? Duke is playing Notre Dame and Clemson is playing Wake Forest this weekend. Our players want to know, why can't they play? In that statement, Ryan Day answered his own question, but not to his liking. And not to your liking, quite honestly, if you're probably watching this segment. Because it's true. There are 76 college football teams that have chosen to try to play football this fall, out of 129 in the FBS. You have an entire conference that is the Big 12, an entire conference that is the SEC, and an entire conference that is the ACC that all will play football in September. And Clemson is like a 40-point favorite against Wake Forest in Winston-Salem this Saturday. Ohio State would be in week 2 of its season from a release schedule from the Big Ten. And the non-transparency, the hiding of information, the keeping to yourself what you want to know, and Kevin Warren just shutting it all down in as far as talking out loud and after really bad attempts at controlling the narrative isn't necessarily helping answer that question. You also have guys on that Ohio State football team that, yeah, they're going to get drafted in the first round. There are others that absolutely needed to play this year to get there. Jonathan Cooper on the defensive side, along with Haskell Garrett, Barrett Browning, and others, needed to be Thayer Mumford. They all needed to play football this fall to show the NFL what they have. But more than that, you have kids that just want to play. I think we're in the worst possible place for college football right now, because if everybody had shut it down, everybody would be groaning together, but we would be collectively groaning. If everybody had chosen to play football, we would all be playing football and yelling about how bad it sucks to have these COVID positive tests and not have enough players to play. I think the Big Ten Conference has such an intense glare on it right now because the president is involved, because the White House is going, why isn't the Big Ten playing football? And not necessarily why isn't the MAC or the Pac-12 playing football? It's also because Ohio State is in that conference and because Nebraska and Iowa have also been so just loud about wanting to play. and everybody but the president of the University of Michigan at Michigan wants to play. You've had coaches try to pivot, try to tell their early enrollees they might be able to play in January if they get here, and now the NCAA is making plans for that not to be true either. So you have kids that are going to miss an entire year of playing football altogether because of this pandemic. And tasking these players who are still practicing to continue to practice without any plan or hope for the future is debilitating. If I were them, I don't know what I would do. I would love for my coach to have my back. I would also like to know that I'm safe, because this virus is disproportionately affecting black folks in particular. And you can't guarantee that these kids are safer on campus anymore, because we saw what it looked like at Tennessee. We've seen what the campus looks like at Alabama. These bubbles that they have created are not foolproof. That said, you have conferences that want to play, and if those conferences are playing, it's hard to tell these other kids that they can't play either, except that's just what it is. State of Virginia high school football is off. State of Oklahoma high school football is on. These decisions are being made by individuals in elected or appointed positions, and it's their way or the highway, and that sucks, because we all want to have a say, but it ain't all of us that's going to have a say. So to answer Ryan Day's question, the reason your kids aren't playing is because you don't get to make that decision. All right, that's it for me. Deuces.